Welcome back to one of the Bears Papa Plays YouTube channel. Today is Friday, September 13th, and I'm back breaking down one more play here for Friday night for the college football slate. We have 3 total player props for this video, and then we're going to be breaking down an Arizona game. 4 total plays for tonight. Hope everybody enjoys their Friday, and let's break down some ball. All right, guys, take a look at this graphic recap from Thursday night. These games have started. Arizona State currently up 7-0 on Texas State. Texas State got the ball. They had to punt. Jordan McLeod had a 14-yard pass. Other than that, nothing going. Arizona State took the ball right down their throat after fumbling 2 times and then getting the ball back both times. So Cameron Scatterbo just got into the end zone for the first time tonight. We have Arizona State money line. Good start so far. Jordan McLeod over 248.5 passing yards going up against Arizona State. And then Cameron Scatterbo over 102.5 rushing yards. I think he finished with 20 on that first drive. So a really good start for him there. Take a look at the leaderboard really quick. It is updated from Saturday. 13-8 so far in the season. On the game picks, 5-8 on the player props. Room to improve. Still over 500 in the first 2 weeks of college football. I will take it. We should be feeling ourselves, though, going into these games and Saturday. We've seen all these teams play. We should be feeling really good, starting to get some winners on the board here. We're going to be looking at Arizona going on the road to take on Kansas State here. Kansas State at home in a night game. I'm sure that crowd's going to be wild for the Wildcats after not so great of a game against Tulane in their last one. And if I'm going to dock Kansas State for not having a very good game in the last one, we've got to dock Arizona for their game last week as well against Northern Arizona. They looked horrible in that game. They did find a way to win it by 12 points, but they were down by 3 points at the half. I think they were 30-plus point favorites. The offense for Arizona, they couldn't get anything going. Luckily, the defense, they were playing very well, picked them up, playing a bad team. And I think one of the most surprising things was McMillan, their star wide receiver, was only held to 4 total yards going up against Northern Arizona. He went for 300-plus and 4 touchdowns in the game prior. No matter how both these teams got here, they're both 2-0 on the season. Neither of them have covered the spread, though. That makes it a little bit tougher to pick a side in this game. My eyes are seeing the top 25 teams here. One team on the road getting a touchdown plus to cover the spread. I've got to take Arizona here, plus 7.5 to get the job done. I just haven't seen enough out of either of these teams to can confidently say Kansas State can cover 7.5 points. Neither of these teams have played their best football yet this year, and I would love to take Kansas State here at home. Typically, they're a very tough team to get past, especially with that defense, but we just haven't seen it this season out of that defense yet. Arizona should be able to move the ball up and down the field. They have Noah Fafita, who's at the beginning of the season I thought had a really good chance to win the Heisman. He did not play well in the last game. In the first game, though, 400-plus yards against the University of Mexico, pounding them into the ground. I don't want to overreact to Arizona last week. They still put up 22 points. They got the win. And Northern Arizona, that was probably a team that they wanted to put their best foot forward going up against Arizona. They probably had that game circled, wanted to give their best effort. Maybe Arizona just overlooked Northern Arizona, but I don't think they're going to overlook Kansas State in this game. Kansas State last week, they got a little bit of help from the officials, depending on who you ask. The special teams and the defense also came through for them. The offense, they looked horrible. Last week, I will say Kansas State defensively, they were pretty good, especially in that second half. It won them the game, but I don't think they can duplicate that second half going up against Arizona here. We should see a lot of points scored in this game. Avery Johnson, the other side of Kansas State as well. He's a dual-threat quarterback. He hasn't had his best stuff yet this season, and we could say the same thing about Noah on the other side. Both these guys, they can get it done in the air. They can get it done on the ground. We just haven't seen them play their best football yet. If both teams gave their best effort in this game, I do think Arizona could easily cover the spread, maybe win this game outright. I'm going to take the points in this one. Again, I'd love to take Kansas State, but it's too many points against a top 25 team who has a lot of weapons, especially offensively. Give me Arizona here, plus 7.5 as the play. Let's go over to the best player props of the day. For the first player props tonight, we're going to be looking at the game between Kansas and UNLV. I broke that down on the member side for the YouTube channels, but I didn't see any harm in breaking down a few player props on this side. So we're going to start with maybe the most electric player on the field in this game, Ricky White, the star wide receiver for UNLV. He had a really good season last year for UNLV. I think he's going to do the exact same thing this year. The Rebels, they did get a new quarterback out of the Patriot League. He was the player of the year in that league last season from Holy Cross. He had 1,800 passing yards, 20 passing touchdowns. He also had 1,300 yards on the ground and 9 rushing touchdowns. So this guy, he's a dual-threat quarterback, but he can get it done through the air. He had 1,500-plus yards in 3 consecutive seasons. He couldn't get much going up against Houston with Ricky, but in the second game, they found each other a lot. 5 catches, 111 yards. He also had 3 receiving touchdowns in that game. Both of these teams have decent offenses, so I do think we're going to see a little bit of fireworks in this one. I'm going to take the best receiver on the field here, Ricky White, over 72.5 receiving yards. For the next play, we're going to be staying in the same game. I'm going to take Devin Neal, the running back for the Kansas Jayhawks, to go over 101.5 rushing yards against UNLV. This is a household name in Lawrence for Devin Neal. He's been with KU since 2021. This is year number 4 for him As a senior, he's rushed for over 1,000 yards in back-to-back seasons in 2022 and 2023. Last season, he finished with nearly 1,300 rushing yards and 16 touchdowns, and he started off this year pretty well. 22 carries, 213 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, and he's had back-to-back games above 100-plus rushing yards. And I know the numbers for UNLV on the screen. It says they've only allowed 38 yards per game. That's the correct number, but it was against Houston. Houston, they only had 9 total carries from the running backs for 17 yards, 16 yards, and 13 yards. The quarterback, Donovan Smith, he had 12 carries for negative 24 yards, kept taking way too many sacks. Houston also threw the ball 40 times in that game. They were down the majority of the game. So that number for UNLV, it is skewed a little bit. So far this season, Kansas, they've been giving the ball to Devin Neal, so I don't expect that to change in this game. He's going to have another 100-plus yards on the ground. Give me his over 101.5 rushing yards as the play there. And for the last player prop of the day, we're going to stay in our game that we just broke down between Kansas State and Arizona. And it's going to be the quarterback for Arizona, Noah, to go over 1.5 passing touchdowns. This one might come out at minus 150 or minus 140, but I think it's worth a look. He did not have a very good game going up against Northern Arizona. He did struggle from the get-go. They were down by 3 points at the half. They couldn't get anything going through the air. He only had 173 passing yards in that game. Did have a touchdown, but those numbers, they're not good going up against a team like Northern Arizona. Kansas State on the season, they have given up 220 passing yards per game. Tulane, it felt like they could do whatever they wanted against that secondary. Their quarterback had 342 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, only threw the ball 29 times. I will say that defense for Kansas State, they did look a lot better in the second half, but 342 yards for the air, that's not going to get you a win a whole lot of times if you're Kansas State. I know that Noah didn't look good against Northern Arizona, but he did look good against New Mexico. 422 passing yards, 4 touchdowns through the air. I just think Arizona overlooked NAU. So I trust that Noah, who has talked a lot about this season, even before the season started, as one of the best college football players, I'm going to trust that he can get it done this game. Over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Also think McMillan, the wide receiver for them, he might be worth a look at 2+ touchdowns receiving in this game as well. Let's go take a look at the recap graphic here. We're going to take Arizona plus 7.5 going up against Kansas State. Ricky White over 74.5 receiving yards against Kansas. Devin Neal over 103.5 rushing yards against UNLV. And then Noah Fafita over 1.5 passing touchdowns against Kansas State. 4 total plays there. Guys, it's going to do it for the NCAA football plays and props for Friday, September 13th slated games. If you guys enjoyed the content, please sure to drop a like on this video and subscribe down below. See you guys next video, and thanks for watching.